Vickers. He's driving the number 55 Jet Edge Toyota for Michael Waltrip Racing. And Brian, certainly a lot of things happening in your world here the last 7 to 10 days, and be driving here at Martinsville this weekend. You had a good run here last year. And the next week you make your debut in the number 11 car at Texas. So talk about that, talk about racing here at Martinsville, and then maybe looking ahead a little bit about what all that means.
Well, it's good to be back in Martinsville. I'm really pumped to be in the Jet Edge 55 this week. We had a good runs here last year. Working with these guys has always been a pleasure, and I've always liked Martinsville. It was actually the first place I ran a stock car, Allison Legacy car to be exact, and it's a fun track. But next week is I'm going to be in the 11 car, which I'm obviously excited about, but sad how the opportunity came about. I know what it's like to be pulled out of your car for health reasons. I've been in that boat before. And, wish Denny a speedy recovery, and I'll do the best job I can for him and FedEx and everyone at Gibbs and Toyota until he returns.
Thanks, Brian. We'll take questions now. We'll start here on the front row with Jared. Raise your hand, please, and we'll go to Lee.
Jared Turner, NASCAR Pole Position Magazine. My question, Brian, is about the trend, if you will, in which former Cup veterans have returned to the Nationwide Series full-time. Can you sort of explain that? Do you think it's good for the series and sort of its overall implications?
I don't know what the overall implications are, but I think it's good for the series, and I can tell you I'm having a lot of fun. There's always been Cup guys in the series. 10 years ago when I was racing in the series, that's who I was battling every week for wins was Cup drivers, and I remember my racing against Mark and Matt Kenseth and, a lot of different guys. And it was a great experience for me, so I think that it was, looking back at it personally when the role was reversed, I think it was the best experience that ever happened as opposed to not racing against any Cup guys.
Let's go Lee, and then we'll go to Bob Pockers.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Can you just reflect on what kind of an opportunity this is? This is a car that has been in the chase. I mean, Denny's had in the chase since he's moved up to Cup full time. I mean, can you just talk about what that opportunity is going to be like?
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity for me. I feel like I'm very fortunate to have both of these opportunities, to be in the 55, which I consider a great car, and then to go drive the 11. I welcome the opportunity and the challenge. I look forward to being in it. I mean, obviously, that team and that car has run good for a long time. Darian has won championships, and he's a very good crew chief. I've known him for a long time, so I look forward to working with him as well. And everyone at FedEx. And I mean, it's again, I reiterate, it's very sad how it happened, because I've been on the receiving end of this. But I'm happy to jump in and do the best I can.
On another unrelated question, you know what it's like to be on Tony Stewart's bad side, and quite frankly, you kind of got the last word on that at Sonoma. What can Joey Logano expect if they don't clear this situation up pretty quick?
Yeah, Tony's a very passionate racer and can have a temper at times, and the truth is we all can. Tony's typically more vocal about his, but I think that all drivers get upset in certain situations. And I've always liked racing with Tony, the good and the bad and the ugly. We've had a lot of fun over the years, and we've had our moments on and off the racetrack, but we've always worked through them, and I have a lot of respect for him. So I wish Joey the best of luck in the world.
Let's go Bob, and then we'll go Claire, and then Alan. Go ahead, Bob, front row here.
Bob Pocker, Sporting News. What do you feel like the 11 car, your performance in the 11 car, how much will that determine whether you feel like you'll get a full-time Cup ride next year? And was there any part of you that wished you would be in the 55, since we know that is open for a full-time driver next year?
Yeah, I think your performance on the racetrack every week has a bearing on what happens the following year. And that's not unique to me, by the way. I think that's the situation for every driver on the racetrack. Your performance week to week, year to year, always has a bearing on your future possibilities as an athlete, a pro athlete, as a race car driver, whatever it is you do. As a rider, And I'm sure some of you understand how that works. So, do I think that my performance in the 11 is going to have a bearing? Of course it will. Do I think that means I have to go win to get a ride next year? No. I mean, I want to go win. That's our plan. But, I think that it'll have, it could have an impact, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it will. And, what that impact is, is yet to be determined. But hopefully it's a positive impact, and it will only contribute to other good races in the 55 that we're going to have this year, and we've had this year. Obviously, the opportunity to drive the 55 is with everyone at MWR. I've enjoyed it there. I mean, I feel very fortunate to have the opportunity to be in two great cars at two great teams. I mean, I'm splitting my time between Joe Gibbs Racing and Michael Waltrip Racing, two great organizations, and obviously both with Toyota. And I love working with Rob and Michael and all the guys there, and Rodney. And I've really found at home there. I haven't worked with the 11 guys yet, but I've known Darian for a long time, and I know a lot of the guys on the team, and I look forward to that opportunity as well.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Will you be able to test with the 11? And that could be as helpful as the races that you'll be able to do is to get in that car and test. And then second of all, initially it was Mark Martin for all the races. Then we heard, it was going to be you. How exciting was that to find out after you initially thought Mark would be in the car that they would come to you?
Well, what was the first question again? It was testing. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a chance to test. It has been brought up to me. Well, actually, that's not true. We have the test in Thursday, I guess, in Texas, right?
Right, day early.
Yeah, so we're there a day early. So, so I guess that's somewhat like a test. I look forward to it, to work with those guys in that kind of environment, obviously to work with them on a race weekend. With the limited testing schedule, there's not a lot you can really do. And it's not like it's my first time in a Cup car, the first time at Texas, or the first time, it's the first time with that team, but it's, and I've known Darian since we raced together in Hooters Pro Cup. I've known Darren a long time, and I've worked with him at different organizations. So, I suspect it'll be fine, once we get there. And as far as, waking up, I was actually overseas, so I didn't know about any of the stuff, the drama that you guys went through. I told JD before I left, and I told Rob before I left. I said, listen, I'm happy however y'all want to sort this out. Just, I feel honored that I'm wanted in either car. And I'm happy to drive either one. So you guys figure it out and let me know. I've got some things to take care of. I'm going to enjoy an off weekend with some friends and family. So I woke up to the news and I was like, okay, great. It was, for me, it was a nose-lose situation. I mean, they're two phenomenal organizations. The opportunity to drive for Aaron's in the 55 at MWR, the opportunity to drive for FedEx in the 11 at JGR. I mean, how could I go wrong, right? I mean, I wasn't going to stress about it. So I just said, you guys figure it out and let me know. And, I woke up and I heard I was going to be in the 55 and the 11. So I was like, all right, great.
Let's go, Alan. Raise your hand, Alan. And then we'll go to Jeff and then Carlos.
Alan Cavana, NASCAR.com. Just trying to get an idea of what Denny may be going through this weekend, that first weekend when you're not in the car. What was that like for you? Was it worse than you expected, or is there any way to prepare mentally for what's going to be like on Sunday for him?
For me, it was very tough. I mean, the first time you're not in your car, you grow up, you watch a lot of races that you're not in, but not ones that you're supposed to be in. And, when your car is going around the racetrack. So it's not going to be an easy thing for Denny, but, he'll move past it. I mean, I think the best thing for him right now is knowing that he's going to get back in the car. The first time I saw my car go around the racetrack, I wasn't sure if I was ever going to be able to get back in it. And, so I'm sure his emotions are probably going to be a little different than mine. But and they would probably be different anyway, even if the situations were the exact same, So it's a better question for Denny, but I can, I've told him that's not going to be easy. You're not going to like it, but at least it's temporary, and I'll see you back soon.
Jeff and then Carlos. Go ahead, Jeff, in the back there to the right. Go ahead.
Hi, Brian. I'm Jeff Hood of RacingToday.com. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the traditions at this track, like the trophy, the hot dogs, the train that runs behind the back of this place. What do you think about all that?
Over the years, I like it. I'd love to get a trophy. I don't have one of those yet. We've come close. We've led laps, but we need to get a clock. I mean, I think it's a beautiful piece. It's one of the most unique and special trophies I think on the circuit. I know a few guys that have some and have one or two, and they it's one of their prized trophies. So the history here and the some of the things that you talked about. Obviously, the train. I grew up. I actually remember coming here as a kid and watching races, standing down on the corners, before pit road changed, and they used to park cars down there and just watch the race and watch the trains go by. I don't know, as a kid, I always thought it was pretty cool the train went by the racetrack. But it was. It's always been a special place for me, whether it was coming as a fan, whether it was running my first stock car race here, running late models here, and now running in the Cup Series here.
Carlos?
Hey,
right
Brian.
there in the middle.
Carlos Mendez, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. I know you've had your share of tough luck at Texas, but the 11 team has been very good there. What are your thoughts on a chance to ride in that car and maybe stick it to that track, so to speak?
Yeah, well, I've learned the hard way that even when you think a track owes you something, it does not. And it will remind you of that. But I do feel like we've left a few on the table at Texas. In the Nationwide Series and the Cup Series, we ran really well there, set on poles and had strong runs, but never quite been able to close it for a victory. And the opportunity to be in the 11 car, they obviously have a good package for there. Hopefully, we can fix that this weekend or next weekend.
Go to the side here, and then we'll go to David, and then to Jim, and then Kenny. Go ahead, sir.
Adam Haynes for their Danville Register and B. A couple of weeks ago, Tony Stewart was down here, and he was saying that feuding is good for ticket sales and it's good for the sport. I was just wondering if I could get your opinion on that.
I agree.
Could you expand on that?
I think he's right. I think that people want to see real life drama. They want to the good, the bad, the ugly. It's you want drama and you want to see raw emotions, and sometimes you're going to get them exactly in the form and the shape that you want them, and then sometimes you're going to get less of it, and sometimes you're going to get more of it. But what people want is they want reality. They don't want reality television. They want real. They don't want planned reality. They want real people pushing themselves to the limit and expressing their raw emotions, and and you're going to have feuds when you do that. You got 43 guys fighting for one spot, but I feel like that's why they show up to the racetrack. They want to see good hard racing, but they want to see real people fighting with everything they have.
We'll go David, Jim, and Kenny.
Yeah, Brian, David Newton, ESPN.com. Obviously, you've said in the past you want to drive the 55 full-time next year, and they've kind of expressed they'd like that. But getting the time into 11 and the possibility of Gibbs ever going to fourth team, do you think this could be an audition, or do you think that could open up even another door possibly for you, or do you look at it that way?
I think anything's possible. They could clearly go to a fourth car, and, so could MWR, so could a lot of teams. I found definitely that I enjoy both organizations. I feel very fortunate to have the opportunity to run at Gibbs and MWR. I'd love the chance to be in the 55 next year. And, for some reason that doesn't or can't work out, then, maybe there's an opportunity at Gibbs as well, as you pointed out. But that's so far off, and it's so many ifs and buts. For me right now, the focus is Martinsville, and then the focus will be Texas, and to go do the best I can. I think if we go out and run good and win and contend for wins, and then the rest will take care of itself wherever it is.
Let's go Jim, and then looks like the final question is going to be with Kenny Bruce. Go ahead, Jim.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. Brian, on the Cup side, you already work with a team that is familiar with having different drivers throughout the course of the season. 11, of course, will be going through a new experience like that in the next several weeks. From your perspective, is it more difficult than we think it is? Less difficult from your side? What is it that a team goes through changing drivers on a semi-regular basis?
I suppose that's probably a better question for Rodney or the 55 team than me. But it's interesting. I think that at first there's a lot of concerns, how that process is going to go. But then the reality is that it's not that bad. particularly if you have drivers that like, somewhat similar setups or, I think Rodney and the guys do a phenomenal job going back and forth between myself and Mark and Michael. The good thing about the 11 is I know a lot of the guys on the team. Some I've worked with and some I haven't. I haven't worked directly in a crew chief driver role with Darian, but I've known him for a very long time, and I worked with him at Hendrick, and so we have a good communication, and I think it'll be fine.
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com. Brian, you mentioned that you weren't around when all of this was going on last week. Who told you about it, and how did you find out? Did they give you a phone call? Did you read about it online before you were officially informed, or how did that whole process go?
I got a call some text from both sides, from Gibbs and MWR, from Rob, Michael, Ty, and JD. Yeah, I'd love to elaborate more. They just basically called and said, hey, here's what we worked out. I was like, okay. Can't wait. Let me know where to be.
Hey, Brian, good luck this weekend and good luck the rest of the season, okay?
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.